Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of The Grandstand here on the Hot Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I'm, as always, your host, AR the Hot Patriot. And for today's episode, we're going to talk about firearms rights and mental illness, aka disqualifiers to make people permanent people, is what it is, or to make someone a permanent person, is what it is. So basically, where does this span from? It actually spans from a Twitter post by detransitioner Chloe Cole. Those who don't know who that is, basically this girl was, I want to say 12 when she was originally put on like HRT stuff and hormone blockers and whatnot. She had a double mastectomy at the age of 15 before finally realizing that she was in fact a biological female at the age of 16, and has since then, now at 18, basically come out and been like doing different discussions and stuff like that, and talking about why you shouldn't have kids be put on various hormone blockers and stuff like that on age 18, why you shouldn't allow kids to do transition surgeries under the age of 18, et cetera, et cetera. And really just a good advocate for, mental health and mental illness is what it is. And essentially, basically, just going out there and doing what they need to do to help the next generation of kids coming up that are gender confused and stuff like that, and not have them become permanent sterilized children is what it is, dude. So, kudos to Clay Cole for sure, man. But anyway, so basically, going to Twitter here, the following was a Twitter exchange between someone else and Chloe Cole, and then I eventually jumped in there under the Hot Patriot Education Network moniker and discuss 4473s and stuff like that with Chloe because, being 18, I assume that she's never gone and bought a long gun, whether it be a rifle or pistol, or sorry, rifle or shotgun or whatever the case be. Obviously, you can't buy pistols under the age of 21 in the NFL. You can technically get private sales in states here like Ohio and stuff like that at the age of 18, 19, or 20. However, most of us people that are over the age of 21 won't do private sales with someone under the age of 21 for handguns and stuff unless it's somebody we know personally, like a family friend or something like that. At least I won't anyway. I'll tell you that right now. And even then, unless it's like legit like family or family friend that I've known for years, like I wouldn't do it with those people either, is what it is, dude. So, but that's just me, my personal, experience of doing private sales and stuff like that. And, knowing that, certain people just, unfortunately, it's a weird situation, dude. Honestly, personally, I think if you're 18 and you're able to have voting rights in this country, you should be able to buy any gun you want. If you can go out and buy a long gun, you should buy a handgun too, as well, is what it is. But unfortunately, the way that our stupid ass government works, and it's just a bunch of unconstitutional fuck sticks, basically, they want to restrict people's firearms access, is what it is, dude. And, you know, then you got people that are primitive people and stuff like that, that, some should be, obviously, because it should be in nut houses, honestly, across this country. But unfortunately, we're not actually dealing with mental health in this country the way we need to be. And because of that reasoning, we basically end up with things like the Nashville massacre that happened this past week. So, anywho, going on to discuss this whole Twitter thread here. So basically, you had this person going by the name KC who said, I saw a legitimately valid critique from TRAs, whatever the hell that is, I'm not even sure, about the gun issue. And it said, retweet Nashville. Quote, when right wingers show off their guns and wear gun t shirts, it's fine. But the moment a trans person does it is problematic. So I actually have a problem with that whole thing right now off the whole front of it is what it is, dude. Like right off the bat, basically, is as someone who would be considered quote unquote right wing, I don't have a problem with anybody having guns. What I have a problem with is mentally ill people having guns. What I have a problem with is people who shouldn't even be out of institutions having access to firearms. And clearly, the criminally insane, that would hurt people like myself or others, is what it is, dude. And that's the thing, right? There's reasons why we have like brandishing laws in this country where you can't, go pointing guns at people without being arrested and shit, dude. And I'm gonna say it like it is right now, dude. If I was ever at an event where somebody legitimately, like let's say it was some left wing piece of shit, Antifa, BLM, whatever the case be, if they're gonna point a gun at me, dude, boom, they're fucking dead, dude. Like that's my response to that, because I am not gonna let you threaten and intimidate me with a potentially loaded firearm and threaten my life Because when you're putting my life in danger, dude, it's fucking game on, bitch. And I have no problem saying that shit, dude. Because I have been in a situation in my life 2 times. One time I was not at this house because otherwise there would have been legitimately 2 dead criminals on my fucking conscience at this point, dude. Because I would have had to kill 2 people that broke in my home one day. Secondly, I was in a situation I was living in Columbus where I was unarmed at the time. I did not have a gun back in those days. And I was almost beat up by 2 dudes in an alleyway. And when I say beat up, I mean I was pretty much almost jumped and potentially almost could have been killed that night, honestly. Had I not had situational awareness to be able to literally run the fuck away from those guys is what it was, dude. So, yeah. To sit there and talk about like, oh, fucking people having no, we don't have a problem with it, dude. What we have a problem with is people wanting to use Second Amendment rights to threaten and intimidate others is what it is, dude. And when you're threatening and intimidating our lives, don't be surprised when we use lethal force against you is what it is. And that's exactly what goes to the point where I've been talking about for a while now on this channel. Exactly what we're heading towards the second American Civil War in this country right now. If not in one currently is what it is. Because like I said, I believe after Nashville now, we are definitely in the early stages of one right now, dude. 100%. When you have a piece of shit, mentally ill person walking into a Christian school and killing 6 people, including 3 children, who are the exact same age as my fucking niece is. Yeah, I got a huge fucking problem with that, dude. I got a huge fucking problem. There's a reason why I didn't do shows for a couple days here. Because I was sitting there and I was on the couch and I was just sitting around and I was thinking, I'm like, what would happen if that would have been my niece? And I'm not even going to go into detail what would happen if that would have been my niece, dude, because I'm not going to give premeditation to a future prosecutor is what it is, dude, period, in the story. But anyway, needless to say, it would have been legitimately justified if it had happened. That being said, the entire point of the matter is when you have people who are clearly mentally ill, and there's a reason, by the way, why the actual ATF itself redid the 4473 to include non-binary as a gender option, and why they've also updated like other mental health stuff on the whole thing as what it is as well. And even the fact that you have, I believe it was, they had like questions about, are you like 18, 19, 20 years old and stuff like that. And if I'm not mistaken, if you would click non-binary, if you would answer the thing to being under the age of 21 and stuff like that, they'll pretty much, like, especially the under 21 thing, they'll delay your process 100%. If you answer non-binary and stuff, you're probably not going to walk away with a gun at all then, dude. Because, unfortunately, the way that they've done that now is, it's almost a trap to set people up is what it is, because it's like, oh, well, this person's clearly mentally fucked in the head or whatever the case be. Why should they be owning guns in this country is what it is, dude. At least that's the government, theology and stuff like that, or mentality anyway. And my thing with that is it's like, okay, I get that, right? But at the same vein of things, it's like, who the fuck are you to say that shit, dude? And that's another problem I have with, especially the people, the cheaters that are in power right now is what it is, dude. Like, say, God forbid, we're able to do like mental illness stuff in this country or whatever the case be. Who's going to be the ones implementing it? It's going to be that motherfucking cheating piece of shit pedophile Biden and Kamala, etc., dude. I don't want those fuckers having any kind of power to do that kind of stuff, dude. Or anybody else for that matter. Kevin McCarthy, that guy's a rhino sack of shit too. Fuck him as well, dude. Or Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell, stuff like that, dude. There's fucking scumbag career politicians as well in that one, dude. So it's like, why would you ever want to give that kind of power to federal government, dude, is what it is. There's a reason why we had Jim Crow laws on the books for like a century in certain states, dude. And there's a reason why you had pieces of shit, actual racist scumbags like Roy Cooper, who is current North Carolina governor until next year anyway, who basically vetoed multiple times of them trying to push that through to repeal it. And thankfully, this time around, you had a bunch of people that were elected last year in North Carolina in the General Assembly that were able to have enough votes to override that piece of shit veto the second time around. And they did so this week. And so you no longer have the pistol permanent purchase thing on the books there in North Carolina, nor should you have it in any state for that matter. It's exactly why, by the way, pieces of shit like Michael Bloomberg, who's an actual fucking white supremacist in this country, who's an actual fucking racist, who hates fucking everybody, especially black people, will sit there and, pay a bunch of money to put bullshit ballot measures on the books there in Oregon, which was what BM-114 was. It was Bloomberg and it was Giffords. So it was basically Bloomberg / every time it was Giffords who put a couple $1 million a piece through on that one to do signature gathering. And because of those assholes, you know, had that crap go through, which is nothing more than a pistol permit purchase thing. It's also a way to fuck other people out of gun rights and stuff. And it's why it's being fought in the courts right now. Because it's all bullshit, dude. It's all unconstitutional crap. It's all Jim Crow law garbage is what it is, dude. And it fucking pisses me off, honestly. Because it's like all you're doing is trying to restrict people's rights is what it is, dude. While at the same time, these are the same asshole anti-gun organizations who are actively funding actual terrorists in this country that go into the BLM or Antifa moniker is what it is, dude. Especially Antifa, for that matter, who've basically been a known terrorist organization since the beginning, back in like the 2010s or whatever there, during Occupy Wall Street and stuff like that. But anyway, so going back to the tweet that we're talking about here, though. So you had that person say the thing about people having a problem with trans people and stuff like that. It's like, no, we don't have a problem with them people having guns or carrying guns or whatever the case be. We have a problem with those people pointing guns at us during rallies and stuff like that, dude, and think we're not going to fucking fight back is what it is. To which Chloe Cole's response was, most of the trans people brandishing those weapons are the mentally unwell radicals that have a very short fuse due to their untreated comorbid conditions. She's right about that too, by the way. She said, I'm all for people exercising two-way rights, but I do think we need to screen for mental health issues before being able to purchase. To which my response to her was, FFLs require people to pass a 4473 to buy guns. The ATF updated it last year to add non-binary as a gender option. From our understanding, if someone checks that box, they are disqualified from purchasing or at least delayed from it. There are also mental institution questions as well, which there are, by the way. Basically, it's there's a question on the 4473. Have you ever been, I think it's mentally adjudicated is how they put it or something like that, which is basically, have you ever been institutionalized is what it ends up being. And yeah, if you answer yes to that, you're disqualified is what it is, dude. So there's already those things on the books. Unfortunately, again, people like Chloe Cole, who are 18 years old, who've never actually done a 4473, don't know those kind of things. And that's why you have to educate these people is what it is. So, I'll give her the benefit of doubt on that one because, her age and the fact that she's spending her time, doing the good fight of calling out the fucking insanity is what it is, dude. And not being a firearms owner and stuff like that herself, I'm guessing. She's never actually gone through the process of doing a 4473 then. So, and that's exactly what we need to do. We need to be educating. We need to be telling people what's up is what it is, dude. But anyway, going on and reading some of the other responses to Chloe's statement here. You had this person here say, one, how would such screening be done and who would do it? A group of psychiatrists once declared a Russian presidential candidate mentally unbalanced, even though they had never examined him. This is unethical, but it still goes on anyway. And that's the thing when I said earlier, dude, about Bloomberg and, like all these other people like that. So, or I should say not Bloomberg, about Biden and Kamala and stuff like that, is the issue there is when you look at most psychiatrists, psychologists in this country right now, especially here in the United States of America, or really any first world nation for that matter, it's a lot of leftist voting people. There's a lot of Democrat voters is what it is. And the reason that they get into the psychiatry or psychology or sociology or whatever it is because they themselves have mental illness is what it is. They actually have untreated, undiagnosed mental illness themselves. And so they're going into these majors in colleges because they actually want to diagnose themselves with whatever the fuck their mental illness is what it is, dude. And it's like, okay, so you have the mentally ill becoming the psychiatrist to choose who else is supposedly mentally ill. Yeah, good fucking luck with that, buddy. And that's exactly what I said that before, dude. That's why I'll never let government take away my gun rights. Is what it is, dude. Or anybody else for that matter. Because they themselves are the problem. They themselves are the tyrannical, overreaching sacks of shit that put us under, a year and a half of tyranny over our lives, dude. They're the ones here in Ohio that chose to put us under 442 days of lockdowns while claiming 2 weeks to slow the spread. Or in Michigan with pieces of shit like Whitmer and stuff like that, dude. It was over 2 years that bitch put Michigan under lockdowns, dude. And you want to give those people the fucking power to choose who should and shouldn't have gun rights in this country? Fuck that shit. For real, dude. Again, it's one thing entirely if it's us as individuals being like, no, this person is mentally ill, obviously, because they're fucked in the head or whatever the case be, or it's something else for that matter where it's like, no, this person over here, or whatever the case be, like them people that were trying to do the Trans Day of Vengeance this week and stuff, what it was. It's like when you're doing, obviously threatening, intimidating, trying to do fucking, be like, oh, we have guns too, kind of stupid shit like that. It's like, yeah, good fucking luck with that, buddy. Like that, I forget what that one we were talking about the other day. I think they went by Kayla or something. And that fucking person that was the ex-soldier and now Antifa member, which I guarantee they weren't. When they say ex-military or whatever the case be, I guarantee they were probably basic boot, and they probably got booted out of basic boot is what it was, dude. Because they were such a fucking mental nut job is what it was. And the problem is, again, that goes back to government failing is what it is, dude, because just like the guy that committed that, was it Sutherland Springs Massacre? I think that's what it was. The one in the Texas church there that was stopped by Stephen Williford with his own AR, by the way. That fucking guy should have actually been deemed a prohibited person by the U.S. military because he was booted out of the U.S. military and dishonorably discharged. But yet the guy that committed that atrocity that Stephen Williford stopped, that piece of shit who killed his ex-wife, and I believe it was his child or family members of his child is what it was there, and a few other people in that church. Because fucking government failed, they did not make that guy prohibited person is what it was. So he was able to buy a firearm then, and actually be able to buy multiple firearms to commit that atrocity is what it was then. And I guarantee it was something similar to that in the same vein of things with some of these other people, dude. Like that piece of shit that's Antifa now is what it is. Like that dude shouldn't be fucking allowed to buy guns in this country, dude. Because they should have been dishonorable discharge is what it was, dude. And immediately upon that dishonorable discharge, they should have been deemed a prohibited person is what it is. But the problem is because they're not doing that, because again, government fails all the fucking time is what it is, dude. They let shit slip through the cracks is what it is. You have literal mentally ill people out there who are armed. Or you have people out there who actually are Antifa terrorists is what it is, dude. Who have committed multiple crimes, multiple felonies, and been given a slap on the wrist in places like Portland, Oregon by that piece of shit Mike Schmidt, who's a Soros DA. And that fucking guy just lets him off the hook, dude. He either downgrades it to a misdemeanor, if anything, or he's just like, okay, this is no longer anything. We just, scrub the record or whatever and toss him back into the fucking general public is what it is, dude. And when you're not actually giving these piece of shit terrorists the actual felonies that they should have on their records, all you're doing is allowing them to actually have the ability to buy firearms in this country legally through FFLs and stuff like that. That's why you have all these people that have done these massacres for the most part who can legally buy guns, because most of them should have been deemed prohibited people is what it is, dude. And unfortunately, because the way, again, our fucking system fails like that, you have them being able to go out there and buy firearms is what it is. Now, granted, that being said, every single person that has an FBI knock should not be prohibited person is what it is. I can tell you that firsthand, dude, because I was one that had fucking FBI knock on my door is what it is, dude. Over that whole thing with Yang back in 2019. And it was nothing more than federal swatting by Yang Sport is what it was, dude. I've said that before, I'll say it again, dude. They fucking told me as much when they walked back to their car, looked back at me and were like, we wasted 6 days on this, and they got in their car and left. And that's what it is, dude. And the reason they did that, by the way, I believe truthfully, the only reason that they were looking into me at all is because that was literally a few days after the Dayton massacre that, by the way, was done by a fucking piece of shit who had ties to Antifa and BLM both. Not to mention that fucker Betts that did that atrocity was an Elizabeth Warren supporter, and yet you got fucking pieces of shit like Elizabeth Warren coming out of the woodwork now, trying to sit there and be like, oh, the fucking Republicans and the GOP are responsible for Nashville. Fuck you, cunt. It was literally your supporter who committed fucking Dayton 4 years ago, you fucking bitch. You want to talk about something, Elizabeth Warren? Look in the fucking mirror, you fucking cunt. And blame yourself for this shit when it's your fucking voter base is doing these things. It ain't a bunch of right-wingers walking into schools killing people, bitch. It's fucking your leftist fucking voter base is doing this shit, you fucking cunt. And that's exactly why I hate the Democrat Party so much, dude. Because honestly, again, going back to what I've said before on this channel, people like Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, etc., dude, shouldn't even be in office anymore. Because, well, not Kamala specifically, because, again, well, she should be opposite anyway because of the whole thing, voter fraud. But anyway, The entire point is, though, like, specifically, you got Kamala, or not Kamala, you got Elizabeth Warren, Bernie, Cory Booker, Amy Klobuchar, Eric Sowell. I'm trying to think who else now. There was a couple other ones. Tim Ryan was another one of those people, by the way. Anybody that ran for president in 2019/2020 and did not win the nominee should have been disqualified from ever holding office again, period, dude. Because we should actually, because right now, that's the thing that not Texas, thing that Florida's trying to do right now, with DeSantis being able to run for president and be able to hold governorship still. Because as it stands right now in Florida, you basically have a resign to run legislation on the books where you have to resign from your current office to run for a higher one, is what it is. That's what it should be across the board nationwide, dude. The fact that you had Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Amy Klobuchar, Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, et cetera, who were all sitting U.S. senators at the time in 2019/2020, and you had pieces of shit like Tim Ryan and Eric Sowell, who were congressmen, who were all run under the Democrat Party, and not leave office they were holding at the time to run for presidency is absolute bullshit, dude. And it should be the same with GOP for that matter, too. When Ted Cruz announced his fucking run in 2016, when Jeb Bush announced his run in 2016, et cetera, dude, any lower positions of power those guys were holding, they should have been thrown out of them immediately, is what it is, dude. Legitimately. So, anyway. But, yeah, that being said, where are we at now? But yeah, going back to the actual, story hand here. So, going back to the responses with Chloe's whole thing here that I want to talk about with a couple other people that were responding back to her. So you obviously had a few others here besides myself that responded back. And like I said, you had that one guy talking about, who's to say who's going to be the one doing it and stuff like that. And then you had this Sam person say, so like the Aussies do, before you purchase gun, you need to take a mental health exam. And because people change, retake it every 3 years. It would be done by certified medical health professionals. And before you ask who is going to pay for it, that's easy. Let's see. The purchaser. Fuck you, cunt. Fuck you, dude. So if you want your killing machine that bad, you pay for it. Fuck off, dude. Is this guy even from America? That's the real question. Let's see. Somebody responded back to this douche nozzle and said, the only issue here is that we've already seen how mental health professionals and all healthcare professionals can easily be swayed by politics. I'm in favor of mental health screening, but it may not be as straightforward as it seems. And the Sam guy responded back to that person and said, let's be honest here. Do you think a mental health professional would falsely diagnose and thus be at risk of losing their medical license and even face jail time just to prevent somebody from buying a gun? Fuck yes, I do. Fuck yes, I do. They have and they will, dude. And you're a sack of shit, Sam. Go fuck yourself. That's the entire problem here, dude. And, again, him saying as Aussies and stuff like that, so it makes me wonder if he's from Australia or not. And again, this is the problem I have with people that are actually not Americans, not in the actual country legally in this country. Not legal U.S. citizens, thinking they can chime in on two-way rights and stuff in this country, dude. You can't. Your opinion doesn't fucking matter. Go fuck yourself. You're not an American citizen. You have no fucking skin in this game. Eat shit, motherfucker. And my biggest issue with people like that right there, this fucking douchebag sitting there being like, oh, people should have to pay for it. There is a reason why you don't have poll taxes, asshole. Because that's exactly what the shit is at the end of the day. That's exactly why you have so many states in America now becoming constitutional carry states, dude, because the permit purchasing system is nothing more than a cash grab by government, you fucking douchebag. And that's exactly why people like me fought so hard for constitutional carry here in Ohio. Because we couldn't afford to it. Because it's an undue tax on a fucking gun owner is what it is, you fucking asshole. And no, you shouldn't have to go screening to get a fucking gun, you douchebag. Fucking hate people like that so much, dude, is what it is. Now, let's see. Continuing on with the rest of this thread from that guy. You had this other guy jump in here and say, More obstacles put in place for the law-abiding that criminals will easily find a way around. Yeah, exactly. Said you do understand that those of us who go through the process of legally obtaining firearms, doing the background checks and everything, aren't the issue, right? Let's see what that fucking guy said. Do you say anything after that? Okay, so there are some other people that came back in this one. Okay, so it's basically that guy like turned off the comments, is what it seems like. Or did he actually? I'm gonna read some of these other ones and I'll go back up after that. So you had this JS person say back to that Sam dude. He said, "What if a mental health professional is anti-gun decides to diagnose everyone with anxiety or depression or other vague subjective diagnoses? Should everything in the BSM, so that'd be, or sorry, not BSM, DSM, so that'd be the mental health diagnosis playbook or whatever. That, by the way, took out gender dysphoria in the last one of them is what it was. Said, yes, everything in the DSM count, like gender dysphoria, ADHD, who decides, just need to prepare for externalities like that." And then Stu guy said, "Follow the game plan of the most tyrannical government in years, clown." Saying back to that dude, that's talking about Aussie, exactly, dude. And that's the thing, right? You've had Australia fucking ban guns there, whatever the case be, yet criminals have guns. Same thing with New Zealand, et cetera, dude. And this Dimitri guy said, same mental health professionals who are 100% in on transitioning kids, exactly. And then this Vicky person said back to Sam, said, that's pretty racist. It prevents poor people from being able to exercise their constitutional rights in America. Reminds me of the poll tax, exactly, like I said that earlier, dude. So gun control is historically racist. I'm not for preventing black people from being able to defend themselves, nor should you. That's the thing, dude. And the saddest part is it's not even just black people who are poor, dude. I'm poor as fuck is what it is, dude. It's why I only have a handful of guns is what it is right now, dude. Because I can't afford to buy any more is what it is. And the big thing with that whole situation is it's like, yeah, who the fuck is this Sam guy to be like, oh, you should be able to have to pay $100 fucking to go to mental health examination? Fuck you, dude. Fuck you, douchebag. Yeah, I want to see what else is said here for this thing. Let's see. Okay, so he said the thing about someone buying a gun. And then this MC said, psychiatry is a soft science. One doctor has different opinions from others. What they do is apply subjective opinions to malleable guidelines. There is no hard and fast rules for psychiatry like there are for blood tests and x-rays. That's concerning when you make rushed diagnosis relating to gender affirmation. Why should it be any less concerning if you're making decisions as to who is or isn't capable of safely owning firearms? And then this plastics MD person said, I think the only way it could work is if there are some documented history at the time of purchasing, but not after intent to purchase. If there is a history of violence, documented mental issues, etc., then there could be framework around that. It could have to be well thought out, or you could just fuck off. How about that? And this MC person responded back and said, a history of violence is often covered by a criminal background check. Convicted felons aren't allowed to own firearms. In some cases, even those convicted of misdemeanors can have their rights to own firearms removed, if only temporary. And that person got back to it with them and said, but are background checks done in all states? Yes, they are. If you do 4473s and FLs and stuff like that. The problem is with that person, right? Like, okay, so I think the issue I'm going to read the rest of that in a minute here, but I think the issue this so-called like MD person is coming up with is what it is what they're looking at is they're looking at universal background checks, which are the first fucking step to future confiscations and future Hitlerian dictatorships is what it is, dude. Or any other fucking dictatorship for that matter. It doesn't matter if it's Hitler, Stalin, Mao, Pol Pot, Che Guevara, Nicolas Maduro, his daddy Hugo Chavez, Fidel Castro, etc., dude, throughout history. Every dictatorship in every fucking nation across any world history event has all started with removing firearms from the civilian ownership of what it is, dude. And it's exactly what we're seeing currently in Brazil, by the way, where you had Jair Bolsonaro rightfully expand firearms rights in Brazil when he became president, and you had that fucker Lula who cheated his way into office is now trying to restrict people's constitutional rights to keep and bear arms. There is what it is. So, yeah. And the thing of it is, it's like every single time you do stuff like that, dude, all you're doing is leading down a slippery slope to. And the thing is, people say slippery slope fallacy or whatever the case be. It's not, by the way, because you can literally look at every time throughout the history books and see that what started dictatorships, dude. It's always civilians having their firearms rights restricted from them. Period. When you take away the guns from the people of the country to be able to keep and bear arms, you lead to a either socialist or communist dictatorship. And that is by definition, dude. If not a Marxist dictatorship, by the way, because most of them actually are. Because actually, if you look at the thing about it is, if you look at both communism and socialism, they both fall under the Marxist regime, is what it is, dude. So it's basically you got Big Daddy Karl Marx at the top there, and you have his Marxist bullshit that basically has spawned off communism, socialism, and feminism for the most part. Now, when I say feminism, I mean like throw away from this is what it is. Where you have like, just these radical feminists is what it is, dude. That just want to espouse all kinds of crazy shit and do man hate and everything else like that. And that's basically the bastard daughter of Marxism is what it is, dude. So the entire point of the matter is, though, is that all these people are talking about is basically restricting people's rights. It's exactly why, by the way, when we had here in Ohio about a year ago almost now, I think it's actually just over a year ago now, when we finally had DeWine sign constitutional carry into place here, because it was the end of March of last year. You had pieces of shit in the Democrat Party, specifically Tabby Golonsky, and I believe it was Catherine Ingram was the other one, during committee hearings and stuff like that for constitutional carry, kept trying to slide in bullshit amendments that should have seen them thrown out of office, by the way, because it was universal background checks and it was ERPO/red flag laws, dude, which are both unconstitutional, by the way, because all they do is create, first of all, the UBCs, the universal background checks create a gun registry that governments, whether it be, cops or federal agents or whatever the case be, would now have at their fingertips to go knock in people's doors at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, whatever it is, kick their fucking door in and confiscate their shit and potentially kill those people is what it is, dude. Because obviously if you're having a door kicked in at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, what's the first instinct you're going to have? At least my first instinct would be grab a fucking gun because I think I'm being robbed. I think I'm having my house invaded is what it is, dude. It's exactly what got Duncan Lemp killed, by the way. Nobody ever talks about that guy either, by the way. I do, for that matter, because it was the fucking Maryland State Police that fucking killed that kid, dude. He was in his house, sleeping with his pregnant girlfriend at the time. They kicked his fucking door in, did what they called a break and break, where they kicked his fucking door in, busted in his windows and shit like that. He rightfully grabbed a firearm to defend himself, thinking he was being home invaded, and they killed him. They fucking murdered that guy. And it happened one day after Breonna Taylor's ass, dude. And that's why it was basically swept under the fucking rug is what it was, dude. Because Duncan Lemp was white and Breonna Taylor was black. And I will take it racist on that one. Or not racist. I will take it racial on that one. Because that's what it fucking was, dude. Everybody tried to make it about race then is what it was. Because you had everybody in there really talking about Breonna Taylor's bullshit, dude. While she herself was a multi-time criminal, by the way. And yet, meanwhile, on the flip side of things, you had Duncan Lemp, who had never done a crime in his life, fucking murdered over some ERPO bullshit is what it was, dude. Because Maryland has red flag laws is what it is. So, anyways. That being said, going back to the rest of the thing with that MC guy versus the person claiming to be an MD. So you have the MD person say, yeah, background checks in all states. There are different levels of background checks too. Yeah, it's called we're not doing universal background check bullshit, dude. Maybe universal high-level background checks for the whole country would check that box. Fuck you, cunt. Then mental health evaluations would require people to relinquish their medical records. Okay. Oh my fucking dude. You want to talk about people who want to be dictators right there, dude? That's exactly what that shit is right there. Fuck you. Fuck you, person. First of all, there is a reason why we have things called the HIPAA rights, you fucking clown. It's so that everyday people can't just get a hold of your fucking medical records, you asshole. Or governments can't just have medical records. It's between you and a physician and stuff like that. Or you have to sign off to have other physicians do your stuff is what it is, dude. And then on top of that, it's like, no, we don't need universal background checks to create a Hitlerian dictatorship, you fucking clown. In fact, fuck that. I'm going to get into this whole thing right now, dude, with this person. create future confiscation lists for future dictators. Okay. So let's see, jumping back onto that then. As soon as I click the go button there. You had that MC guy say it back to him and said, federal background checks are done in all states for purchases from licensed firearms dealers. Frankly, I am not a fan of somebody taking into melodies being told they can't buy a gun because they are chance the meds keeping them alive might make them violent or suicide or homicidal. That person said, good to know. For some reason, I thought that wasn't a thing. Federal, again, this is because you've never bought a fucking gun, you idiot. Jesus fucking Christ, dude. I swear to God, again, dude, this is my problem with the anti-gun left at this point, dude, because it's always anti-gun leftists, by the way, that pull this shit, dude. It's people who have no fucking clue what it is to buy a gun in a fucking FFL in this country. And it's exactly why anybody that wants to get in the gun debate, if you have never bought a firearm in this country, you've never tried to buy a firearm in this country, you have no fucking skin in the game, you have no fucking argument at all, go fuck yourself, you're fucking invalidated immediately on that one. Until you want to go into a gun shop and try to buy a firearm, only then do you have skin in the fucking game to actually have a debate about firearms rights and have debates about different gun controls and stuff like that. Until then, fuck off. And I mean that seriously, dude, because I'm sick and tired of this shit. And that's the problem with everybody, dude. They have no fucking clue what the hell they're even talking about 90% of the fucking time and want to sit there and act like they have the moral high ground of anything else that matters what it is, dude. And then that conservative dad said, more obstacles put in place for love. Okay, we already read that part of that. Or did I? Okay, yeah, never mind. That was the thing between those guys, and then it was that dude jumping in there, whatever. Okay, so I think we're done with the rest of that, then, if that be the case. Okay, so we're going back to the Chloe Cole one then. So we're going to finish off here with a couple more of these. This Irvin guy said, to Chloe Cole, it said, agreed, and the people saying, oh, they'll use it to deny purchases to Republicans. Your government is already prosecuting you. Also, why of all the DSM-5 listed conditions that would ban you from purchasing do we make an exception for gender dysphoria? This is a big thing too, by the way. When you look at the DSM books that have come out in the past, 20 years, 30 years, whatever it's going to be now, I think it's actually more than that. It's more like 50, 60 years actually since the 70s and stuff. So the DSM, which is basically, I forget what the DS part of it stands for, but basically the M would be mental illness, I think is what it is. And it's basically DSMs 1 through 4 all had gender dysphoria as an actual psychological condition is what it is. And the DSM-5 does not have that. That's what it is, dude. Because again, it was people like Jazz Jennings, etc., having that shit taken out is what it was, dude. They advocated to have that basically removed from the thing is what it was. So anyway, this Collian said, Chloe, in Tennessee, background check is required. In the Covenant school shooters case, it looks like she got the guns some time ago before she started indicating she was suicidal. Her own mother was calling police when she discovered the stash of firearms, but they told her that her child... does it go on from there? Had a right to own them. It looks like they were not aware of her mental health history. However, word of mouth indicates that person made a call to a suicide hotline, but was essentially placed on hold or deemed low risk. This person was passed over multiple times. Exactly, dude. And that's exactly why red flag laws don't work either, by the way. Because, first of all, you actually have to have people report you for the red flag laws for, being mentally whatever and having your guns taken away from you. The problem with red flag laws slash ERPOs in general is what it is, dude, is not only do they break the 1st, 2nd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 8th, 10th, and 14th Amendments of the Constitution, they also only take away your guns. It's not like a Baker Act where you actually institutionalize somebody for a little bit and put them on a 70-tower psych hole, dude. Because that's the thing. All the fucking cops are worried about with red flag laws are taking away the guns from you. They don't give a fuck about your mental health at that point, dude. They don't give a fuck about actually getting you psychological help that you may need is what it is. So instead of using some kind of 5150 or some kind of Baker Act legislation that's already across the board, by the way, in all 50 states at this point, has been since the 1970s, they will sit there and try to push through all kinds of other bullshit arbitrary crap that's not even going to do anything is what it is, dude. And that's the biggest problem. And not to mention the fact that you can have people weaponize ERPOs like a motherfucker. It's why Colorado's now expanding the people that can do them and stuff now, because they want people to weaponize the shit is what it is, dude. Because they want to take away people's rights is what it is, dude, in that state. And it's a bunch of crap all the way around, dude, is what it is. So, but anyway, let's see here now. Continuing on with that Cullis person's thing, it said, so that shooter was deemed low risk, passed through multiple times. Said, take that as you will. A lot of that info I have comes through the grapevine from people who attended church with that person's mother, who is reportedly a wonderful person who tried to help her child. Anyway, I don't have solid facts, just local takes is what they said. Interestingly enough, and this is what I think is really interesting, right? So, the mass murderer there in Nashville, that piece of shit, their mother was an anti-gunner. That's one thing I have learned from just media reports and stuff like that, whether it be, and it's not even fucking mainstream media, by the way, it's all actual alternative media and stuff like that, like Gateway Pundit and things like that, who have come out there and been like, hey, it's been proven this person, this is a social media post they had a few years back about St. Huck Promise stuff, and it was like anti-gun shit and more anti-gun stuff after that's what it was. And then it's come out that the parents didn't even know that their child was armed is what it was, dude. They thought they got away. They told them to give the gun. They basically told them to sell the guns is what it was. And had no idea that they had a bunch of guns in their home is what it was. And I'm just like, really, really, come on now, man. You need to tell me you don't go dusting in places and stuff like that. And it's like, oh shit, we found a shotgun. Oh shit, we found an AR-15. Oh shit, here's a handgun in a fucking drawer. Like, Jesus Christ, come on, man. They fucking knew. They fucking knew they did nothing, dude. And it's exactly why they should be tried as accessories after the fact. That's what it is, dude. And I guarantee you that shit would stop real fucking quick if that kind of stuff happens now, dude. So, anyways. Let's see where we at. This Andy guy said, Clay Cole said, agreed. I'm fine with comprehensive mental health screening before purchasing a firearm. There should be a due process way to get it done without infringing on the Second Amendment. Again, there's something called shall not be infringed on the Second Amendment, and that's why you can shut the hell up, Andy. Let's see. This Mackenzie person said, who then gets to decide what and is and isn't a mental health issue? How does that get defined in a practical legal stance? I totally totally understand the sentiment, but actual implementation would be far more detrimental than beneficial. Exactly, dude. Exactly. Good job, Mackenzie. You get it. Let's see. The Steve G guy said, well, Chloe, that's just not how 2A works. It is a right that shall not be infringed. So we need to eradicate the transgenderism ideology. We can't have a screening for a right. Exactly. Let's see. This Rachel said, I like Switzerland. They are considered one of the fairest and healthiest countries, but are still heavily armed. Gun salesmen undergo background checks and also interview family and friends locally to determine mental health. They are debatably the most efficient nation globally. They're also like 1/50th the size of America, you fucking dipshit. This is what I hate about people, by the way. This is why I fucking hate people trying to compare other countries to the United States of America. It's two fucking different things. It's apples and oranges, motherfucker. Because you're sitting there, it's just like people being like, oh, well, what about this little teeny ass country that could be a fucking state in the United States is what it is, dude. That have less people than the state of Ohio does, by the way, for that matter. And then they're like, oh, but look at their fucking, look at their crimes, look at their fucking statistics. It doesn't fucking matter, dude. They have literally like 1/100th the amount of fucking people in them. Shit, you have people who in European countries have talked to people over here in the United States and they're like, yeah, we're going to come over here for vacation. We want to visit Texas one day. And during the same day, we want to go and visit another fucking state, like 10 states away. That's going to take like a 17-hour drive because they're so fucking dumb that they don't understand that there is a huge fucking swath of land between those two masses is what it is, dude. Because they think America's like Europe is what it is, dude. Where you can go from like Belgium to Sweden to France to fucking every place else in the mix there in the time span of like 2 days, basically. Where it's like a fucking 4-hour drive here or 4-hour drive there or whatever the case be. It's like, no, dude. Between Ohio and Texas, it's like a 17-hour drive or something. Hell, between Ohio and Maine, it's like a 14+ hour drive. I should know I've taken it once. And it was a pain in the fucking ass, by the way, if you do it in one day. Oh my God, dude. I can tell you stories, bro. My knees were fucking shot after that day is what it was, dude. It hurt so bad because we were in and out of that car. And it took us about 17 hours, actually, but that was all said and done because we actually had to keep stopping to do bathroom breaks and basically just stretch our legs and shit like that. And yeah, needless to say, even with those breaks and stuff like that for 10 minutes here or 20 minutes there is what it was, dude. Like, oh my God, bro. It took me like 3 or 4 days to recover my kneecaps after that car ride, dude, for that day. And that's the thing, though. It's these people that don't get it, man, because it's that mentality of not being an American citizen is what it is, dude, in most cases. It's that mentality of being like, well, we should look at this other country that has nothing to do with America for Americans' rights. It's like, dude, they don't have a constitution in that country. Only we do. There is a reason why when America kicked off our fucking freedom in 1776, why about 15 years later, maybe not even that much, I think it was about 1789, give or take, is when the French Revolution happened. So it was like 13 years or so later after that, dude. And so forth and so on. There's a reason why America started it all, dude. And why so many other countries followed our fucking lead to be free. The problem was they didn't do full freedom because what they should have done at the time is been like, oh, this U.S. Constitution that they're coming up with sounds like a pretty good fucking idea. Why don't we copy and paste that and put it into our own words a little bit here and give our citizenry the freedom they deserve here is what it is. But that's the problem, dude, is that so many nations refuse to do that is what it was, dude. And so that's why you have very few gun rights countries in this entire world, dude, that actually give a shit about the citizenry having the right to keep arms is what it is, man. And people want to sit there and talk about Switzerland and being like, well, this is what Switzerland has. Who gives a shit? Go and actually read the Second Amendment, motherfucker, and understand why there is a whole terminology in it that says shall not be infringed. And by the way, when you actually look at a statue that I believe exists in Pennsylvania, because I think it's around where the bell is at there that the founding fathers had back in the day. And I think it's a quote from one of the founding fathers, and it specifically goes on to talk about more in the Second Amendment is what it is, dude. Where it's saying that, yeah, firearms ownership should not be restricted is what it is, man, of any citizen in the country. So to sit there and be like, this is why we need to put barriers on it, fuck you. Fuck you. You're an anti-gun sack of shit, and you can eat shit is what it is, dude. And that's why I'm so fucking sick and tired of these people, man. It's like, stop trying to restrict people's rights, you asswipes. Rachel. And you know what? You notice that too, by the way? It's always chicks. It always seems to be chicks that are fucking the ones that restrict people's rights is what it is, dude. Chicks who, by the way, didn't have the right to vote in this country until 1913. And have fucked up this country ever since then is what it is, dude. So, anyway. Let's see, you got Ms. Fowl say, give the government even an inch and they will push it for miles. Yes, they did. They did it all the time, dude. So I do not trust government to be unbiased with their screenings. This is a slippery slope for restricting gun rights from the majority of the people. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Greg Smith said, shall not be infringed is a tough one to get past. Without due process, government should not be allowed to take your rights of defense away. I understand the sentiment of unstable people not being allowed to have guns, but who gets to decide without a trial? Exactly. Let's see. This person said testosterone makes women aggressive. That's debatable on that one. Let's see. This other person said pretty much entirely this, talking to Clay Cole, said those same right-wingers would immediately lose their gun rights the moment they started posting online about a white day of vengeance or kill a minority as opposed to trans day of vengeance and kill a transphobe. Nobody's doing that. Like, what the fuck, dude? Nobody's doing these things, you fucking idiot. What the fuck are you even talking about, you fucking clown? Goddamn bot. This looks like a fucking bot account anyway, dude. Claiming to be a paramedic. Jesus Christ, dude. Fucking people, dude. See, this armored up person said, I agree with the first part, Chloe. However, who does the screening and who determines mental health requirements? The same corrupt government that's been pushing perverted agendas and attempting to take our firearms away for a long time. Exactly. This other guy said, what Chloe says is applicable for all. It's a universal law, rule, ethical code. That's why the relatively question are on our NICS background check tools. Okay, so he's basically saying it's already on background checks. Let's see. First statement, recent study published from the students for the thing for balance. This person basically talking about trans being radicalized there. Let's see. This person saying who that would violate constitutional due process. Individual rights can be revoked, but it requires a trial by a jury and ability to be accused to face their accuser on open court, not a behind closed doors decision by a cult of pseudoscientists. Exactly, dude. A lot of other people are saying due process, shall not be infringed, etc., etc. So, yeah. Needless to say, like I said, it's a whole thing, man, is what it is. And anybody calling for disarmament should immediately never have rights to vote in this country ever again, is what it is, dude. And if they're not even an American citizen for that matter, they have no skin in the game to begin with, and they can fuck off too, is what it is, dude. Because the entire problem I see right now, personally, and the entire problem I've seen for quite a while, and I've talked to other members of the network about this whole thing, dude, and other friends that are 2A owners and stuff like that, and her, 2A advocates and gunners and stuff like that, is what it is, again, you give government ultimate power, and they will never relinquish that ultimate power. It's exactly what we're seeing right now, by the way, with the TikTok ban, dude, where you could literally have a one-page piece of paper that specifically says the United States will be banning TikTok from government devices and potentially from use in the United States or something like that. It's not going to be written potentially, period. And that would be the entire thing for it. And that would be what could be passed. Instead, what did they do? You had somebody do that as like page number 1, that Democrats and rhinos and shit put about 1,000 pages behind it then, that are now trying to create the quote unquote Restrict Act that would be nothing more than a internet version of the Patriot Act, dude. Which, by the way, you have to actually have a signed court order to go after people, to actually do investigations on people. I guarantee you, when I was federally swatted 3.5 years ago, the fucking FBI didn't do that shit, dude. What they were doing at the time was they were using some bullshit that was pushed through under Obama as executive order, by the way, which is not law, by the way. Can't never be law, is what it is, dude. That expanded rights to be able to do warrantless searches on people through the internet is what it was, dude. And it's a bunch of shit all the way around, dude. No. Get a fucking warrant, come back with a warrant, get it signed off by a judge, and then do your investigation. Otherwise, fuck you. And that's exactly what it was, dude. Those guys knew they had nothing on me at all, dude. Because they knew I wasn't a violent threat is what it was, dude. When you tell me we wasted 6 days on this, and yet meanwhile, at the same time that I'm being federally swatted, that I'm being fucked with for that week of my life is what it was, dude. And by the way, it was longer than that too, by the way. Because it was that Friday, it was on a Tuesday that I actually had that conversation with these assholes in my fucking driveway out there. It was that Friday I went to go hang out with my buddy who owned a game shop where I play Magic the Gathering at. And there was this crazy, creepy ass woman who came in there. I wouldn't say crazy, but she was creepy. She was definitely either a federal informant is what it was, dude. Because every answer that she gave was her basically it was her like thinking back in her mind of like, okay, what did I just memorize like 10 minutes ago in the fucking car is what it was, dude. And then giving like some real weird answers is what it was, dude. She was never seen in that shop before that day, and she was never seen in that shop after that day, dude. It was only that couple of hours while I was in there, dude, that she came in there and hung out for like 15, 20 minutes is what it was. And I think what it was is that she was trying to see if I was going to do something. And realizing like, oh, he's just sitting there fucking around is what it is, dude. He's just sitting there playing with some cards at the fucking table is what it is. Which is what I was doing, by the way. And the big thing with that is that what's really creepy is it was later that day after the feds had left the house, because I was down talking with my old neighbor down there. I saw their fucking car coming around my block again. And then it was the next day, I saw the same fucking blacked out window sedan coming down the fucking road again, dude. So they wasted more. They knew for a fact that I wasn't a threat, and yet they wasted more time to fuck with my life. Because that's what the fucking lazy ass fucking FBI does, dude. Instead of going out there and finding real, actual terroristic threats, which, by the way, at that time while I was being federally swatted, there was an actual fucking mosque down in Columbus, Ohio, right by Ohio State University, that had over 100 failed and successful terrorist attacks tied to it and hadn't been shut the fuck down at that point, dude. And they could have been investigating those motherfuckers. But oh no, let's go and find the fucking low-hanging fruit, the autistic guy, who, by the way, knew his constitutional rights enough to tell you to go fuck off to your face, Tim, you piece of shit. And your little fucking fake-ass Wish.com, Hank Schrader-looking ass partner there, whose name I can't even fucking remember. And I should have actually had a paper to write down. Hell, I should have been fucking filming your asses at that point and got your fucking names that way, bitches. Got your names and your fucking badge numbers, so I knew exactly who to fucking take the pensions of when I sued the fucking shit out of you for deprivation of law, you fucking cunts. I'm still pissed about that one too, by the way. If I had realized what was going to happen that day, because let's be honest with ourselves, dude, I'm going to go back and do a little history talk right now. May of 2019, I found a video. Well, I'm sorry. This was back when YouTube still had their ability for you to basically get people's comments sent back to you and stuff like that as actual things in your bar and stuff there for how the video responses and stuff were there. And I made a video, or I made a response to a Steven Crowder video back then about, I think it was something about leftists or whatever the case be. Some leftist fucking nut came back underneath my comment and basically responded back to my comment. And that showed up on my feed is what it was. And I looked into that guy's channel, and it turned out that that guy was clearly fucking Antifa. And I looked into a couple of their videos, and I'm pretty sure they were going to do something, dude, is what it was. And so what did I do? I reported their asses to the FBI at that point, because I'm pretty sure that they were an actual violent terrorist threat is what it was, dude. Because number one, they didn't fucking show their face on camera ever in that video, and nor did they ever give anything else for that matter, details or anything, dude. They were basically just talking shit and essentially threatening people on the right, their lives is what it was. And, you know, I clicked on, I hit it for YouTube's violations and stuff like that. And then I basically called, you know, gave it to the feds, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure this guy's a violent terrorist is what it is. So that's why I was on the radar to begin with, is what it was. And then it was, you know, a few months later is the whole thing with Yang is what it was, dude. So, which, by the way, if I had realized that the one part of that video was even in that video, I would have edited that shit out of the video, dude, and it wouldn't have been an issue then. Because they even specifically were like, it was this part of this video that basically got us here to begin with that day. And it was me talking about Yang potentially being a future dictator at the time is what it was, dude. And they were trying to claim like, oh, you're threatening a presidential candidate, which I wasn't, by the way. It was a literal fucking thought crime. It was a what if scenario is what it was, dude. Like, what if X leads to Y kind of stuff is what it is, dude. And that's why I called him out on that shit. And then you had fucking douchebag number 2, the Hank Schrader looking motherfucker, who was like, oh no, you said I. I'm like, no, I didn't, dude. You can clearly listen to the fucking video. It says, if something were to happen. And we got into that fucking conversation for like 5-10 minutes before he finally gave up is what it was. And I know for a fact what they were trying to do, by the way. Because it took me like about probably like a good 6 months or so to figure that out. Because it was one of those things where initially I was basically, you know, mentally traumatized, I guess is the best way to describe it, honestly, because it's very traumatizing, dude. You know, you got fucking federal agents show up at your door, knocking on your fucking door, waking you out of a dead sleep the previous day, like Jesus Christ, and then basically not. And the thing is, too, by the way, when I called them up that day, that first day when they left when Tim left his fucking card, and I straight up told them, I'm like, okay, what is this about? They could have just fucking told me. They've been like, dude, somebody reported you. We need to talk to you about it. They could have been straight fucking forward about that, dude. But no, they were being all fucking coy and fucking bullshit about it, dude. Because typical little fuck boy, small dicked pieces of shit fucking Fed boys. That's exactly what they want to do all the time, dude. Because that's exactly how they fucking are, is what it is, dude. They think they have that little bit of fucking power and can take away your freedoms because they're a little bunch of fucking cocksuckers, is what it is, dude, for real. And so you had the next day when they came here, And like I said, Timmy's partner was basically getting into it with me about the whole thing until he finally gave up is what it was. And I realized after that, after being traumatized for months of my life is what it was, that what they were trying to do, because they knew they had nothing on me, they knew they had nothing that could arrest me on is what it was. They were attempting to then turn around and get me to self-incriminate so that they could arrest me, and then most likely would then turn me into a federal informant. And essentially I'd be one of these dudes dressed up as fucking Patriot Front or something like that now. I guarantee that's what their endgame was, dude. It was to make me a federal informant. Knew they had nothing they could actually arrest me on. Knew they could not put me in prison for anything if that be the case, dude. Knew that they weren't going to be able to prosecute me for anything. And so instead they were going to cut me some kind of plea deal if I had been stupid enough to actually self-incriminate, which I wasn't because I didn't do anything wrong, dude. And they fucking knew that. They knew that when Tim walked back to the fucking car that day and turned back towards me and was like, turned back towards me like that, looked back at his partner and was like, we wasted 6 days on this. And then they both got in the car and left. That's how fucked up that was, dude. And that's why I'll continue to talk about that almost 4 years later now. Because it's fucking bullshit, dude. If they wanted to go after somebody, they should have been going after Antifa members at that point in the state of Ohio, dude, or BLM members for that matter, who fucking that piece of shit who did the Dayton Massacre had direct ties to. Hell, they should have been looking at other Elizabeth Warren supporters or Bernie Sanders supporters for that matter, dude. You look back at the congressional baseball shooting, dude, of Republicans and shit that day that almost killed Steve Scalise. It was a Bernie bro that did that shit, dude. Yet you don't see fucking Bernie bros being targeted after that, dude. It's fucking ridiculous is what it is, dude. It's always the left doing shit, and because of how fucked up our judicial system is what it is, dude, you always have these fucking weaponized alphabet agencies that will come out here and sit there and attack right-wing people is what it is, dude, and fuck with our lives. And that's what it was, dude. I believe truthfully, I believe this is a real case, honestly, what it was, dude. They thought I was a low IQ person. They thought I was a dumb motherfucker is what it was. That I was just some random guy who was popping off at the mouth and wanted to sit there and fuck with my life instead of going and actually doing real work is what it was, dude. So they picked the low-hanging fruit, not realizing that low-hanging fruit was weaponized autism, motherfuckers. Not realizing that low-hanging fruit was a constitutionalist who should have had a fucking lawyer on his side that literally handed you papers to take your fucking pensions is what it was. And like I said, that's the one thing I do regret from that whole day. If I realized what it was really about, dude, I would have called up a lawyer that previous day and had them out there that fucking next morning to take these cocksuckers' pensions forever, dude. And take their fucking jobs too, for that matter, because neither one of those guys should be FBI agents after that, dude. And I guarantee they still are at this point, which is absolute bullshit entirely, dude. When you are targeting people over fucking words, when you have actual fucking violent terrorists on the opposite side of the political coin doing actual terroristic shit, and you refuse to go and deal with that shit, you are a fucking scumbag. You are a small dick little piece of shit, dude. And I'm calling those fuckers out on that one, dude. Because they totally 100% are, dude. And like I said, and people want to give the government more power to fuck with us. Fuck that, dude. Fuck that shit. So, anyway, one thing I do want to mention that kind of does have to do with this episode as well, with firearms rights and mental illness and stuff like that, as well as just, indoctrinators fucking with the kids is what it is, dude. You had this Gateway Pundit article here. He said, he verbally and sexually abused every single child in that classroom. Hero dad explodes on school board for protecting teacher who told students to describe X-rated sexual fantasies. Parents are now pushing to recall the entire school board. Good job. That's what you need to be doing right now, dude. And it's not even just recalling those people. It's recalling those people and jailing those motherfuckers, dude. Putting their asses away for deprivation of the code of law is what it is. And never allowed to hold elected office ever again in this country is what it is, dude. Which, by the way, deprivation of the code of law should be a felony, not a misdemeanor. And it's as simple as that, really. So, anywho. Yeah, I'm pretty much fed up with all of it, dude. I really am. And I'm still really like that's the thing, dude. Like, you know, it's one thing. It was one thing last year with the whole thing with all those 2A dudes like barbecue and stuff to basically, fuck with me a little more is what it was, dude. Like people don't realize my autistic mind. I remember shit and I hold grudges on stuff, dude, is what it is. And I will always, always hold a grudge against the feds for what they did to me, dude. I will always hold a grudge against Andrew Yang supporters for what they did to me. And, you know, it's a situation there where you tried to fuck with my freedoms. Well, you yourselves probably aren't even American citizens, is what it is, dude. Because I noticed one thing. There was a lot of Yang supporters who seemed like they could have been foreign nationals from China and stuff like that, dude. So again, going back to the whole my federal swatting thing, maybe the Fed should have spent that 6 days looking at actual Chinese foreign nationals who were the ones that reported me as a potential threat back in 2019 instead of actually going after me, is what it was, dude, for some fucking words. And that's the thing, right? Most people that do stuff, dude, they're not gonna go out there and make a whole fucking thing about it and be like, and this is what should be done, and this is how it should be done, kind of thing. No, they're just gonna go do that shit, is what it is, dude. So it's like those are gonna be the people that you never saw coming, is what it is, dude. Like you're not stopping anybody, dude. You're not red flagging anybody. You're taking away freedoms of speech of people who are calling it like they see it, is what it is, man. And like I said, I'll go back and talk about it, man. Like that particular 20, 30 seconds of that video, I completely had forgotten that was even there, man. Because that particular video I had shot in months before it was actually uploaded, dude. It was filmed out in the outside there, right in front of the garage. And I had completely forgotten I would even put that in there, dude. If I had realized that, yeah, I would have gone back and edited that little piece out as what it is, and it would have been an issue then, is what it would have been. But yeah, it's nice to know exactly where the line is though. Now, at least I know that now. And at least I know where I can go and say stuff and then, rightfully, call it out for what it is. And like I said, there's reasons why I'll talk about it in these grandstands. Like, I'm not calling for violence, is what it is, dude. I'm specifically stating like a fact of the matter is what it is. And that's what it is, dude. Like most people will do stuff is what it is. It's not like I'm gonna sit there and do it myself, you know. And the fact of the matter is, it's like, yeah, when you have actual violent terrorists walking into Christian schools and killing a bunch of kids, dude, and a few adults as well, in that matter, because they're fucked in the head, that's on you, man. Like that's on you for not stopping that person, is what it is. And my biggest problem with all of it is, you know, you have this weaponization of federal agencies that shouldn't exist anymore, is what it is, man. That will sit there and fuck with us, yet those same agencies will sit there and suppress freedoms. They'll sit there and collude with big tech companies during election cycles. They'll sit there and suppress Hunter Biden's laptop from hell and stuff like that, dude. And to sit there and think that those fuckers should still have power in 2023 and beyond, fuck that, dude. No. I've said it before, I'll say it again, dude. If we were in a just society right now, there wouldn't even be a federal government anymore, dude. Because every federal agency, every part of the federal government would be fucking knocked out in one fell swoop, is what it is, dude. And we would go back to a states' rights thing at that point, where you would either have individual states do our own thing, or you would have a bunch of us come together and make some kind of council of governors kind of deal. And that would be basically what would become the new presidency of the country, is what it would be, man. That if anything ever needed to be done with like international issues and shit, it would be something with those council of governors kind of thing, is what it would be, man. And it would be those individuals from those councils that would actually be the ones going overseas to do foreign visits with foreign dignitaries and stuff like that. That's what it is. So, anyway, but yeah, needless to say, it's very disheartening to see how many people are against freedom, is what it is, dude. And as somebody who, like I've said, has lived through so many things in my life, whether it be, 9/11 or the Patriot Act or the fucking, 2020 lockdowns, etc., dude, all of it. weaponization of government to make political prisoners with January 6th, et cetera, et cetera. Why would you ever give these people any more power, dude? Why would you ever allow them to restrict your freedoms is what it is? Because that's the thing, right? It goes back to that old mantra of, first they came for, and I said nothing, and then they came for X, and then they came for Y, and then they came for Z. And when they came for me, there was nobody to say anything. That's exactly what the time period we're living right now, dude, is. It's like, if you're okay with restricting like these rights for that or that rights for that, like, no, dude. And like I said, should some of these people be arrested for various crimes? Yes, they should be. And that's the big thing, right? Like you can arrest like certain violent individuals for doing actual crimes right now, dude. Like brandishing is a fucking crime in this country in all 50 states right now. And there's a reason for that, because you're threatening, intimidating people's lives is what it is, dude. And there's a reason why in most states it's a fucking felony. And you will no longer have access to firearms rights at that point. So if you actually do have a firearm on you in the future after that, you're a person who has weapons or disability in most states, and you'll catch another felony charge if you get caught with a weapon. And there's also a reason why in those cases you would have to get that weapon on the black market, dude. And that's a big thing that people never want to talk about. They'll sit there, and this is the biggest problem I have with all of it, dude. You'll sit there and have these people, all those leftist people types and stuff like that are trying to respond back to Chloe Cole's thing, that were like, oh yeah, we're fine with restricting people's rights and stuff like that. It's like, dude, all you're restricting is the freedoms and the rights of the law-abiding. It's the people that are actually going to respect the laws that are being put into place, which, by the way, those laws aren't even fucking constitutional and would be fought in the courts immediately is what it is, dude. As the unconstitutional piece of shit they are is what it is. Because you're committing deprivation of rights of law against American people is what it is, dude, at that point, with those fucking bullshit screenings and stuff like that. Versus having other things in place that are already existing and having, like, this thing right now. What is there, like 500 plus gun laws on the books already right now, dude? If not more than that, depending on where you do with federal and state ones and stuff like that. So you're talking about over 500 laws in the books already to restrict gun rights and stuff like that. Yet nobody wants to enforce these shit that's already on the fucking books. They want to keep writing more and more bullshit to take away more and more rights, dude. And that's what I'm saying. Like, this is the fucking problem I have when you're allowing government to take your fucking freedoms. It's why you do not let emotion dictate legislation. Because all people are going to do is they're going to be like, we need to take the guns. Oh shit, why are we against a wall, against a bunch of military now? Dead. That's what's going to happen, dude. Legitimately. You want to talk about why I fucking am against restricted freedoms in this country, dude? Because that's the end game I see happening. It's going to be a Hitler-style, Hitlerian, Stalin, Mao, all of them together, dude. Every dictator throughout history in one fucking nutcase or one group of nutcases here, modern day history is what it'll be, that are going to seize power, seize the fucking reins. People like David Hogg, etc., dude. Because I look at Hogg right now, dude. I look at that crazy fucking cunt, who, by the way, he himself showed to be a felon in this country and never in firearms ever again. What it is, dude? Because last year he was committed felony charges when he interrupted congressional hearings. And yet he was never charged with a felony at that point, dude, even though he should have been. The same thing with Manuel Oliver, by the way, this year, last week or so is what it was. He should have the same charge against him at that point, dude, for he and his wife both actually should have got those charges for, again, interrupting congressional hearings at the time is what it was. Which, again, if we actually did our judicial system equally at that point, Hogg and the Olivers would all be fucking primitive people at this point, dude, because they'd all be felons right now. They'd all be in a prison cell right now, doing time. The problem I see right now, though, is whether it be Maxwell Frost, who is the first Gen Z congressman, who's Hogg's little buddy, who, by the way, should have been disqualified from even running for office right there, based on the fact that he was running on an anti-gun platform. So he was being a pre-oath breaker before he even got into office, to then swore an oath to the Second Amendment and the rest of the Constitution, to not infringe upon people's rights to keep and bear arms. What it was, dude. Hogg, Frost, all of them, dude. Those are the Gen Z people right now, dude. These fucking anti-gun commie sacks of shit. They're going to be the ones that become the future Hitler types, dude. Legitimately. That's what I fear right now. I fear those people. I fear those. When I say that, I mean this actually. I fear those people having power, having any kind of political power, because they're going to be the ones trying to write new bullshit laws and get new bullshit laws passed that are completely unconstitutional. We have to fight in the courts for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, whatever it's going to be. Meanwhile, they're doing Hitlerian shit, dude. Why do people think that people like Hogg want to grab the gun so bad, dude? Because they want disarmament, because they want you fucking dead. It's exactly what we saw this past week in Nashville, dude. Why did that piece of shit choose a Christian academy that was unarmed? Because they did not choose a actual secondary school that was in their fucking manifesto, by the way. They talked about, because that's the thing mainstream media actually talked about at the beginning of the manifesto, apparently, dude. Was part of the manifesto specifically said they were looking at other options to choose for fucking deadly massacres, and they did not choose a school that was pretty close to that Christian academy because it had armed security at it, because they knew that they would have been taken out immediately. So instead, they walked into a different school that had no school resource officer, had no police at all, had no armed security, had nothing. And they chose that particular place because they knew that they could create a fucking killing spree and take as many lives as they wanted to without any armed resistance. And it took the Nashville PD people that were there, whatever it was, I forget exactly what it was, Metro PD, but whatever they call themselves, 15 minutes to get to that school to confront that piece of shit and fucking dome their ass. When seconds matter, police are always minutes away, dude. It's why you have to be your own first responder. It's why you have to be armed. And it's why it's bullshit that in 2023, 33 fucking years after gun-free zones were passed in this country, that gun-free zones still exist in schools and universities and any place for that matter, dude. Fuck that shit. No. It is way past time to repeal that fucking garbage once and for all, dude. Do away with it. Get it done. Get it out of here. Have our country be a sane place again and have armed responses to violent threats. And if people are going to go out in society and do rallies and be violent threats at those rallies, then they need to be arrested for brandishing laws and for any other thing like that, dude. If they're going to threaten people with a firearm that they have on them, they need to be arrested, they need to have that firearm confiscated, and they need to be catching fucking charges and become prohibited people at that point. And that is how you deal with this shit, dude. You don't put new laws on the books. You don't put bullshit ass, fucking stupid ass, fucking psychological crap on the books, dude, that has no business being there in the fucking first place. And it's as simple as that, really. That's about it for today. I'll be back most likely with Honda and the boys sometime tomorrow for the Gay Frog chat, and then we'll be doing a Tuesday night strike again, if I'm not mistaken, this coming Tuesday. And other than that, that's pretty much where I'm for the day, though. I don't think I'll be back again until probably a few days from now anyway. I'm not sure how much time I left on this account right now. I know I'm getting pretty close to the 20-hour mark, and I believe it resets on the 7th. So if you don't see anything else come out of this channel until the 7th, it's because I ran out of time on the account, and I don't feel like changing over to a different account is what it is right now. So that'll just be it for then. But if I do anything else, though, for this coming next couple days or whatever the case be, it'll probably be like some stories of the day or something like that, or it might be like actually decide to get my fishing bag or something maybe tomorrow afternoon or something, and then just talk about some jigging and stuff, dude, because I do need a mental break right now, I think, is what it is, just for my own, mental health, I guess is what I'd say best. Because I'm just mentally exhausted is what it is, dude, over all of it. And I think I just need to get out of my own head right now and just start talking about other hobbies I have is what it is, man. It's why I do the gaming chats on occasion, dude, because that's just a fun game to play. And by the way, I'm going to keep doing that. Actually, I can do that right now. Actually, I'm thinking about it. So yeah, I need to get off here real quick and do some stuff there. But other than that, that's where we're at for the day. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will see you all in the next one.